Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and to this new episode on the black Mark II 16 valve Golf. I'm going to have a wee break over Christmas from posting videos, so the next one after this will be on the 2nd of January, it's the Monday, and we can see some more content on the black one until you guys get caught up, and then it will just be basically as I'm doing it, as with the blue one. So also we still need to do a first drive of the blue one, so hopefully the weather will be a bit better come the beginning of January and we can do that as well. So I hope you all have a really good Christmas and that you have a good time with your friends and family, and I'm sure that you'll all be needing a break as well, so I'll see you in the new year. Just thought I'd let you see how this bit's getting on as well. So you can see that it's gone dark, so that's good. That should hopefully keep the rust at bay for a while. I'm going to give this a little bit more of a sand. I did send a video of it to my friend that has the body shop and does this every day, and he said to try and kind of flatten out a bit more. So I'm going to do that. I'm not going to bother doing it on camera because it's not very exciting. And then I will video putting a little bit of filler on it. Alright, so I've mixed up a big load of filler. I've never used this filler before, but my friend uses it, and again I did ask for his advice on what he thought was a good plan to use. So basically what I'm doing is just applying a not too thick layer of it to the bumper, and that's hopefully just going to smooth it out a bit. Obviously I need to sand it down once I've applied it, but I'm gonna time lapse this, so I will just crack on with this, and it'll be over in a very short time for you guys. Okay, so there it is just now. I've put plenty on it. Obviously it needs sanded, so that's what we're going to do just now. And that should be okay, I think. We'll find out once I start sanding it. It's funny watching things back in time lapse because I think that the video I showed you just lasted about 35 seconds, and in real time that was at least an hour and a half. So I started with 240 grit, rubbing down this bumper, or the filler that I put on the bumper, and it was going a little bit slow, so I went down to 120. I could probably or possibly have done with going a bit lower, but it's better to kind of proceed with caution, I suppose, if you're a rookie at something, because with 80 or whatever, it's much easier just to take too much away and then you have to refill it. And it's literally the second time I've ever used filler or sanded, and when I used it on the Fiesta, it was really very, very small parts like stone chips and just maybe a little bit of corrosion on a couple of the wings, or a wing and a rear quarter, or both front wings, I think. Anyway, so yeah, I don't really want to mess up and have to do it again. Black's a really unforgiving colour as well, which I suppose is why guide coat is black. it really does show up everything. So it's got to be pretty good to look half decent, which is what I'm looking for, because as I keep saying, this is just a kind of quick fix to make the car look more presentable before we do the whole respray on it. But this should, if I've done it okay, this should help me out for when I come to do the full respray, because if it's quite flat and the shape's quite good, then I'll have saved some work that I would need to do then. So that's all good. Covered in dust everywhere. Anyway, I'm going to stop waffling and I'm going to just sand it down a bit more with 240, 500, and the bits where I am lacquering but not painting, I'm going to sand them with 2000, so probably just hit them quickly with a DA with 2000, and then I'll probably go 1000 in between the 500 and the 2000. So I have done that before. I have painted one bumper and I did a kind of blend in the base and it worked out quite well, so that was good. So I'm going to try and do something similar with this. Don't really need to, but may as well try and make it look as good as I can in the time that I've given myself. So again, I'm going to stop waffling and crack on with this. Okay, I think I've pretty much finished prepping the back bumpers. That's great, because it's pretty late. Debating whether or not to do the other wee bit or not. I'll maybe start it, but I'll show you how it's looking just now and you can see what you think. Alright, so I changed my mind about just lacquering this part and not painting it, basically because as I got closer to it I realised that it was pretty sketchy as well. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. It's pretty smooth. I just did 500 in that, 500 grit, and I've taken this all the way down to 500 as well, which is probably higher, smoother than you really need to before priming it, but it's going to hopefully make life easier when I'm sanding it down in between coats of primer. So there we go, and I'll show you the other bit, which has an enormous amount of filler on it, but again I didn't really want to have to come back and do it again, and I was having a long enough break that I knew it would be solid by the time I came back to it. So I'll probably just make a start to this and I will film it so you can see, but I will probably retire soon because it is pretty late. So let's have a go at this and see how we get on. Alright, so it's the next morning here, so I will show you what I finished off last night on time-lapse. I was sanding down the bit on the side and let you see how that's looking right now. So there we go. I'm gonna sand it down a bit more. That's just been done with 120, and there's a little bit up here that maybe was a little bit indented. So as you can see, I've just put a bit of it's not filler, it's just kind of like putty, acrylic putty, which is good just for filling in really small things. So that's been left overnight, and I'm just gonna sand that flat again. I kind of panicked about this bit because it looked quite indented. Sorry, I'll show you, a little bit indented there, but luckily because I put so much on there, it was fine. I was able to sand it into the line. It's maybe a little bit higher here, so a wee bit more sand in there, but you can see that it's kind of coming along. It's a lot better than it was. And again, this is a kind of quick repair, because once I take the window out, there's a fair chance that, you know, it's going to be more rusted up behind the seal, and I might need to, you know, probably what I'll do is just cut this out and replace it. So it's just a kind of patch repair. So anyway, I'll stop waffling and I'll go and crack on with that, and you can see how I got on. So I ended up putting a bit more of the putty on the bit on the side, and while I was waiting for that to dry, actually I put a little bit on the bumper as well, just a couple of tiny bits. And while I was waiting for the side to dry, I've masked off the bumper. I'm gonna cover the car in plastic when I'm doing the proper base and clear coat, but I just wanted to do that just to kind of get cracking with this. So I'm just gonna prime it just now, and just using rattle can primer. It's supposed to be one that's good for plastic. I think I've just used high build primer before. I don't think this is very high build, so hopefully I smoothed it out enough with the filler and it looks okay. So I'll try and film spraying it, although it is just rattle cannon, so you can see what you think. So I ended up giving this quite a few coats. Don't think I would use the first primer that I used again. It was definitely not high build, it was kind of more like no build. But the second one I used, which really is for using on the metal, actually did quite nice. It's still drying, but it looks okay. So I think that should be okay. So what I'll do is I'll give it a wee scuff up gently once it's definitely dry, and then that'll be ready for base. And I've rubbed down up here as well, so that's probably ready for primer. I've spent as long as I can justify on it, so I'm just gonna call that done, and I'm sure I'll be happy with how it comes out, because it's gonna look a heck of a lot better than it was, which was the plan all along. If anything, I probably spent too long on it, so time's wearing on and I really need to get these bits done so I can do the other bits and then get on to something else. So I'll come back to you in a minute. I'm just gonna cover the car in plastic and we'll get this primed up, and I should be able to film that as well, I think. Okay, so I have covered the car in plastic. As you can see, it's great stuff, saves a lot of time. And you can see I've left this bit exposed over here, and I'm gonna prime that bit, and then what I'm gonna do is expand the area that I'm painting. So originally I was talking about just painting this, which unfortunately isn't really possible because the corrosion was coming down here. So what I decided was that I'll paint a bigger area, so just paint along there. It's quite handy because there's a line above and below it, so that should make that a bit easier. Gonna need to try and do some sort of blend into this, so we'll see how that goes. So basically just hitting the bottom part there with primer, and I'll build up some coats of that, basically just until I've got good coverage, you can't see through. And once I've done that, I'll pull it back. I've dropped the car down as well, because with where it needs to sit on the ramp for basically to get the pads under it, it's kind of quite far back and there wouldn't have been much room. So there we go. I'll see if I can find somewhere to mount you so you can watch. That sounded totally wrong. I'll put the camera somewhere up on the wall so you can watch, and we'll see how we go on from there.
gonna let that.
Oops, just gonna let that dry a bit. So I left this for a while, best not to spend too much time watching paint dry, and I've put a bit more on, so you can see it needs a bit more yet, but it needs to dry off. So what I'm going to do is shoot around the back and lightly sand the bumper ready for the base coat, and then what I'll probably do is start cleaning up the garage and then clean the paint guns because I'm not using them for ages, so I want to make sure they're nice and clean, and then we can think about starting to base up the back bumper. So I'll probably just time-lapse sanding the back bumper because it's not going to be hugely interesting, but we'll do that. Sanded down in 500. I'm glad I did it because it was pretty rough and as in like coarse, and now it's pretty smooth, and also there were some bits where you could see sanding scratches, so hopefully I've got most of them out. It's kind of dusty just now. I can't actually see where my air tool is at the minute for blowing off the dust, so what I'm going to do is fire back onto time lapse again.